Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Joel over here at Static ATX Records. I wanted to make the video about shipping records, the best ways to do it, sort of the pitfalls, and just to give some experience, um, and give some insight to both buyers and sellers. Okay, so um, first of all, we're going to talk about different types of shipping supplies, real quick. Um, I'm going to share my screen here. Two of the most popular types of shipping supplies are going to be the Whiplash, right? And so when you hear people talk about Whiplash mailers, Whiplash is actually the brand. This is their website. It's whiplash-lpmailer.com. There's different kinds. I'm already on one of the mailers here. Let me see if I can go back to they basically have these four types here. This one right here in the middle, this is called the VO1. This is the one that I use. There's the VO3 here, and then these ones on the outside are basic, just bigger versions of the other ones, right? Um, so I don't I'm going to show one of these here in a minute when I talk about the pitfalls, but the basically I can't mouse over this to oh yeah, I can. Okay. So the benefit of the Whiplash is that they have these the right here in the corners or on the sides, they have this, it's about an inch wide of protection. It protects all four corners. So like if you were to drop this on the corner would bend, would get dented, but it won't damage the records inside. Now, a Whiplash mailer, it's kind of thick, right? You can kind of see the thickness here. It's going to carry like anywhere between two, well, one obviously, and up to, they say fits up to five records. Maybe I wouldn't recommend putting five records. I would say three or four, and then with some stiffeners in there. Because even though the corners are protected, you want to keep both the front and the back protected. Because if something punctures the front or the back, you don't want it puncturing the record, right? So you want to put a stiffener, at least one, preferably two stiffeners on each side to kind of protect it from that. Um, and I have a lot of experience. I've used these Whiplash mailers for a while, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. Um, or actually, you know what? Well, no, let me do the overview and then we'll get into the pitfalls. So, the other kind of really popular mailer is going to be this one. So, this is what's referred to as the Mighty Music Mailer, right? So, it's made by Bags Unlimited. This is what it looks like. Um, uh it's I can't mouse over it otherwise you see it, but you can kind of see it from the picture. It's thinner than a Whiplash is. um Instead of having the inch of protection on each side with the way the Whiplash does, this just has like some space, right? So it provides the same amount of protection on the sides. It just does it in a slightly different way. And in the Whiplash mailers, these ones right, they do make a thicker one that you can put more records in, but but this style of Whiplash mailer can only really fit one or two records in there. The way that I personally, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen real quick just so I can talk about this. Whenever I ship records, what I do is if someone orders one record, I use the Mighty Music Mailer. I use one stiffener, and then I put the record in there. If you order two or more records, then I use either a Whiplash or a bigger box, even bigger than the Whiplash. Usually, what I'll do is I'll reuse boxes I get from distributors. Oh, I kind of like this one. I'll reuse boxes I get from distributors. Um, but most orders aren't like that. Most orders are anywhere between one and like four records. And for those, I either do the Mighty Music Mailer or the Whiplash. Um, I don't have a Mighty Music Mailer to show, but what I do have to show is some Whiplash mailers. So I want to talk a little bit about them. Um, Even though they give protection, they're not perfect. So this right here is a Whiplash mailer. That's and you can see it got some damage, right? So all this tape you see on here was not my tape. This is when the person who got this gave it back to me. Whenever I tape up the Whiplash, I put one piece of tape along the middle, and I put one piece of tape on this side and one piece of tape on this side. The person who mailed it back to me uh, mailed it back, put a bunch of tape on it because it had gotten damaged. You can see right here on the top, there's a big gaping hole here here, and there's a hole right here. I'm not really sure what happened to this, but if when you take a look at this, it looks to me like maybe something in a sorting machine because it looks pretty mangled. So whatever this went through in the mail, it went through it. I don't think any amount of tape was gonna do anything about this. So this is what the mailer looks like. There were 2 records inside. They only sent one of them back because they said the other one was fine. I sent them a copy of New Order Substance, and you can kind of see it got destroyed on the top here. Yeah, so I'm not. So again, I don't know exactly what happened, but no mailer is going to be perfect, right? I mean, this is pretty brutal. I mean, look at that big, huge, gaping hole. Here's another example. So this is it's another Whiplash, and I've been saving these for a while to kind of like give it. I was going to make a video about this. This one looks like you can kind of see right here. There's like an indent right here, and it almost looks like a footprint, like maybe someone stepped on it. But the indent is right outside of the 1 inch because if you see the inside, this is the 1 inch barrier on the side, and you can kind of see the indent is right on the other side. So this one right here, it wasn't as bad. The result of that were these records in here. I had 4 records in here, and you can see what it ended up doing was making a dent. It's kind of hard to see on the video, but there's just a little bit of a dent. These are all still sealed, but there's like a dent here. So they bought Massive Attack. There's a Boards of Canada here now with a dent on it. The Boards of Canada is actually probably the least bad. In fact, if you didn't tell me there was a dent, I probably wouldn't even know on the Boards of Canada. There was this one, which is another blonde redhead. Kind of a dent here. You can definitely see it right there, or you can feel it. And then this Aesop Rock album, there's a dent right here. So again, the Whiplash mailers are very good, but they're not perfect, right? Nothing is going to be perfect. Mistakes can always happen, and this is when I want to talk a little bit about sort of what's expected of a buyer and what's expected of a seller. So first of all, if you're a buyer, right, if you're buying a record from somebody and the record arrives damaged, you can assess it, and if you want to keep one or more of the records in it, obviously you're able to do that, right? But if you're not happy with it, if they arrive damaged and you're not happy with it, it's within your right to go back to the seller and let them know that it arrived damaged and that you would like to return them. Don't feel like I know some people want to avoid conflict and they don't want to deal with the hassle, and that's fine, right? I mean, you do whatever you're comfortable with, but understand that it is a seller's responsibility to make sure that they arrive safe. Even though this happened through no fault of my own, I packed them well. No amount of tape was, I don't know what happened to that thing, but no amount of tape was going to stop that from happening if someone really wanted to damage it. And like I said, I've mailed out thousands of orders, thousands, and I've used both the Whiplash and the Mighty Music mailer. And so far I've had 3 reports of damage. Those 2 that I showed you right here, and then a third one that was a couple of months back. That one, maybe something was fishy going on with it, but I don't have it to show you. But now let's talk a little bit about a seller. So sellers out there, understand, like, this is a part of doing business. It doesn't matter if you're a casual seller or you're a business seller. If someone tells you that something arrived damaged, it's your responsibility to not only send them a return shipping label, but make it right and give them a full refund. I know that, it stings inside. You just lost some money, like this new order. I mean, the reality is what I'm going to be able to do, I'm not going to be able to return this to the distributor or anything like that. What I'm going to have to do is maybe try to sell this. There's nothing wrong with the records. The records are fine. Um, I'm going to sell this at a discount in the store and see if somebody just is interested in the records and doesn't mind that it's damaged. I'm going to mark it down heavily. In fact, I don't know exactly what I'll mark it down to, but pretty heavily. These ones that are bent, they're not that bad, but I'll mark them down as well and sell them. And I'll end up losing money overall. But again, it's just the cost of doing business. You kind of just have to do it. Just suck it up, and the buyer will be happy with you, and they'll continue to come back because you made it right. Um, there was something else I was going to talk about with this. This is another type of mailer, by the way. So this one, I forget what these are called. These you find them a lot at places. This author offers no protection. It's just the size of a record. You put a record in there, even if you, and I know a lot of people use these. And if you have no other choice, like it's fine. I would definitely recommend a lot of stiffeners. Um, and keep in mind, this was like a record store that sent me some records on this, and it arrived fine. They put tape around all four sides. Um, and keep in mind, like in the short term, you'll probably be okay with these, and in the past, like years and years ago, I did use things like this because it's what I could get. Um, but I think overall it's worth it to get either the Whiplash or the Mighty Music Mailer. Um, I will quickly just talk. I'm not gonna break down the cost. I've done videos like that before. I will tell you that it's roughly the same to do the Mighty Music Mailer with one stiffener and the Whiplash with three or four stiffeners. Um, the only reason I started using the Mighty Music Mailer for one record orders was simply because it is more expensive to do a Whiplash with like five or sometimes six stiffeners, which is what was needed when some people buy like one record where it's really thin. Stiffeners cost money, right? And I have a supplier for the stiffeners, and I buy them. They come in two bundles of 200. Not only do they cost money, but I run through them really quickly. I mean, I was going through like four to 600 every month, and sometimes more. 4 to 600 in a little bit less than a month. They weren't even lasting a full month, because that's a lot of orders. Most people when they're buying online buy one record. Which that's another thing I'll just quickly say. If you're somebody who orders a lot of records online, especially new records, I know, like, if all you want is one record, by all means, do you. But understand, if there are multiple records you want, you will save money by buying two or three at a time as opposed to just one, because that's the added dollar or whatever it is, the few extra cents you're paying for shipping for adding a second record is nothing compared to the full cost of the shipping when you continue to order just one record at a time. Because I do have some regular customers, and I very much appreciate you. And again, do what you're comfortable with. But I do have some regular customers that will buy like one record every month. Um, and just know that's additional shipping you're paying every. It'd be better to save your money and then buy two records one month, right? That's already like going to be like a $5 or $6 savings, which over time it adds up, right? Like if you're buying a ton of records over time, it that the saving on the shipping costs saves you some money. So yeah, anyway, I'll put the links to the Whiplash and the Mighty Music Mailer in the comments of the video. You can kind of see what the prices are of each of them on their website. I didn't really want to break down all the cost or anything, but those are the two that I recommend. Obviously, if you can buy in bulk, it's better. Depending on how much shipping you're planning on doing, maybe you can talk with your local store to kind of help a little bit. Maybe if they're buying some, they'll buy a little extra and sell them to you. I know that I'd be willing to do that. You'd have to be local because I'm not going to ship them. But like, if you were in the Austin area and you wanted some Whiplash mailers, next time I order some, I don't mind ordering some more for you, or the Mighty Music mailer for that matter. The Whiplash mailers, they do a bulk discount if you ship freight, which I recommend doing. If It's not that hard to set up freight. Um, the Mighty Music mailer, I buy them in 50 pieces. There, it's a little bit more expensive that way, but that's what the supplier that I use offers. So, um, if you want to buy them even more, I actually haven't broken down the cost. I'm not sure how much you save if you buy in larger quantities. Um, that's actually something I need to look into. But anyway, I just wanted to show those examples of damage records and just show that like even Whiplash mailers can get damaged. Um, and it breaks my heart when it happens. But like I said, thousands and thousands of orders shipped, two, and I happen to get two this month, or two last month rather, because it's May now. Yeah, so if you have any questions, if you have any advice, if you have anything you want to contribute to the topic of shipping records, you can add it in the comments below, and we will respond or maybe make a follow-up video. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope you guys have a great week. We have some events that are going to be happening at the end of this month. We have the Austin Record Convention, and we're going to be doing an event at Elysium here in Austin called I think it's called World Goth Day, but they're going to be having a market down at the club, and I will be taking a bunch of music in the vein of goth industrial. I'll have both records and CDs at that event. I have I have some cool stuff to announce about that, but I'm going to make a separate video about that. I'll probably make it later this week. This sort of the special stuff about that. Not to tease you guys, I just want to make sure for sure I can get it done, and then I will let you know. But I will be down at the Austin Record Convention. I'll have 3 tables. I'll announce where my tables are. I'll probably do a video on that as well. I'm going to be taking some cool stuff, some stuff you guys haven't seen yet. But yeah, peace out, and I hope you guys have a great week.